When you show up to the podcast, make sure your story's straight and don't be lying on the podcast, because news, life, and beyond will set the tone up on your podcast. So speak about the truth when you invited to the podcast. Yeah, hold that line, get you laughed at, or even worse than that, walk the streets and get you clapped at. And it's really not worth it, so really, where the math at? It's not adding up, it's only becoming a backlash. Everybody the toughest in their history is speaking, but news, life, and beyond ain't believing when you're reaching. Almost everybody preaching when we really should be teaching and recognizing the people that just be.
You're talking to yourself, a fucking liar. Stop lying, get right, and leave it all behind till you die.
And now time for the show. Thanks for coming and being a part of News Life and Beyond, where we bring you real life, real people, and real discussions.
Many things I went through in prison, bro.
Talk about something.
So I had one incident where, all right, so I had taken a job as a shower cleaner, clean the showers. I needed to make, a little extra cash, took a
Did you
job.
have anybody holding you down while you were locked?
My folks sent me a little bit of money here and there. They probably sent me like $30 a month. I had my cousin Ray. He throw a little money at my books, and my cousin Ronnie, he actually bought me a TV, and I think he bought me like a little gaming system or something at one point. I can't remember what it was that we were allowed in there. But yeah, I mean, I had a couple people that looked out for me, but the homeboys I had when I went in, they didn't look out for me, none at all.
Of course they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I would have expected them to at least go by and check on Janine and the kids, and none of them ever did.
Yeah.
I was really close with a couple of homeboys. So the people that had Ride the Needle tattoo up in Norwich.
Yeah, that's my boy.
Yeah, that's my boy. Peppo?
Right? Yeah.
Talking about Peppo. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Dude.
I know that trip, right? Yeah.
Bro, Peppo is my people, bro. I've been knowing him for many years. And I love Peppo. He was at my trial, bro. Him and his cousin Frankie. Me and Frankie are like this, bro. Me and Frankie are close in age. We're like brothers. Peppo was like our big brother. I mean, those were my boys, dude. But after, they were there through my whole trial. But after I got locked up, dude, like I never, as much as I loved them dudes, and I love them still to this day, but I never heard nothing from none of them. Didn't get a letter. Hold your head up. So I kind of learned at that point that, the value of family, when you have real true family, what the value of it is. One thing I will say is my mother never gave up on me, bro. Even when I gave up on myself, this woman was feeding me scriptures from the Bible, and I'd be like, Mom, I don't want to hear it. She didn't give a damn, bro. She'd send it anyway,
Like my mom.
And eventually I read the scriptures, eventually I took her advice, and then eventually God worked miracles in my life.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about the shower first. Let's go back there.
Yeah. So I took a job cleaning showers, and I was cleaning showers one night, and I was in Cheshire, and I think I was in the car wash showers at that point. It was in East Block. So I don't know if you've ever been to Cheshire, but East Block is the shittiest prison I ever seen. I think Cheshire's the shittiest prison I ever seen. Like literally.
Heard that before.
Osborne, I would say Cheshire and Osborne were the shittiest prisons I've ever been in. Like as far as, just the way they were built, the cleanliness, just old beat down prisons, I was in there one night cleaning, and a group of guys came in there, and they was gonna try to get them some. And bro, I fought, and I fought hard. They never raped me, but they beat the fucking shit out of me. The COs came in before they were able to get to me, but I was outnumbered. And I felt like it was a hit put on me by the COs. because these fools didn't know nothing about my charges. You know what I mean? So, I think though, a couple of them ended up going out on a stretcher with me. I went out on a stretcher, but so did a couple of them. And I went through some shit, bro. Um, I had another incident where I was again in Cheshire, and I worked out with this dude every day. I got put on high security because I came home from a court trip from Norwich, and I broke my handcuffs trying to escape. After Janine divorced me, I was trying to escape. I was going to try to break them handcuffs and get out, and I had a elaborate plan to escape. But that black box held me in. I was able to pop the swivel of the cuff, but the black box, I could not get out of it. You know what I mean? So when I got to the facility and they saw the cuff broke, I got put in seg. I was in there for like, I think 30 days under an investigation for attempt to escape. And then I was put out on high security for the rest of my bid. And I think that I was only in for, maybe a couple years at that time. So I was on high security all the way up until I think the last few months of my bid. They finally took me off of it because I had already had parole and all that, and they were going to let me out. But
What's high security?
it's where you're considered a threat to general population, where you attempt to escape or you have a very high profile. Like, that's where I became Richard Kraft Celeb. So if you throw your wife in the wood chipper, your ass is on high security.
I heard he was a mad cool dude and pretty smart.
He's actually really brilliant, bro. The guy had 1 million law books in our cell. The whole bunk underneath was covered in law books. He's extremely smart. Again, he's the only conviction in the state of Connecticut without a body.
Yeah.
To this day. Honestly, I don't know how they were able to keep him there. So I remember coming in cell after hearing he was the woodchipper guy. I'd always heard about a Connecticut style divorce, but I never knew I would be in the cell with this guy, I get in the cell and I hear that I'm in the cell with the woodchipper guy. So I go in there with him one night. I'm like, Rich. And I made us something to eat. I cooked up a little gumbo or something with fungo. And I'm talking to him. I said, man, so I hear you're the guy that threw his old lady in the woodchipper. He goes, that's what they say. I said, well, what do you say? And he went, I don't say nothing. And I was like, well, just so we're clear, you get any flashbacks or anything, brother, I will fight. And I'm not against it. Motherfucker his ass. And I'm just putting you in your damn place because you old. But no, he was really cool, man. The only problem I had with Richard Kraft is the cell smelled like old man.
Like
like he was just, he was an old dude that didn't like to shower a lot. I mean, he showered, but he didn't shower like I did. You know what I mean? So I smelt him more than he smelt me.
Yeah, you got any good stories about him?
I really have nothing bad to say about Richard Kraft, man. The whole time I was in that cell with him, he was very respectful. He never gave me any shit. Anytime I wanted to talk, he was there to talk to.
You guys talk a lot?
Yeah, we discussed a lot of law stuff. I was interested in trying to fight my case. So he helped me out a lot. He pointed me in the right direction on a lot of stuff. Again, I wasn't in the cell too long with him because I ended up wanting to kill myself and jumping out of the cell. I mean, he was my cellie. But once that happened, I was never back in the cell with Richard Kraft again. In fact, I think that was the last time I saw him. You know who I was in there with and played basketball with and shit? Michael Skakel, the Kennedy cousin,
Yeah.
the one that was convicted for killing Martha Stewart, or not Martha Stewart, Martha. The hell was that lady's name? Martha something up in
Yeah, not Mother Stewart. She hanging
Greenwich,
out with
Connecticut.
Snoop Dogg.
Huh?
I said Mother Stewart hanging out with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, Martha Stewart. I couldn't remember what that lady's name was. It was Martha Measley or something. Martha something. They were from Greenwich. Um, the case was a 1974 case, so it was the year I was born that the girl died, and Michael Skakel was the one that got convicted all them years later. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you ever ask him any questions?
Yeah, me and him talked a lot, dude. One thing I'll say about Skakel, dude, was he was a stand-up dude. He was very straight up, very, very real. I don't think he did it personally. Knowing him as a person, just the person that, dude, I mean, when you've been to prison for 8.5 years, you've been around murderers,
Yeah.
rapists, you've been around, people when you see them. You know what I mean? Skakel wasn't that dude. I don't think he killed anybody. I think they were looking for somebody to put that on, and I think he got the end of it. He got the raw end of it. They did it to me. They did it to him. Skakel was a good dude, bro.
Well, did you ever meet anybody else in there while you did all your time?
So there was another dude. I forget what his name is. They did a movie about him. I think his name was Alex something.
Football player?
He was the dude that. No, he was some rich kid that they did a movie about him. He was a womanizer. He was meeting up with these women and killing them. I forget what his I think his name was Alex or Alan something. I was in there with him too, but I didn't really get to know him. I talked to him, shook hands with him a couple times, but I didn't really get to know him like I knew Skakel. And like if you ask Michael Skakel if he knew Big Tex, he'll tell you right now he knows me.
Yeah.
That's what they called me in prison, was Big Tex.
Oh, you Big Tex?
Yeah.
How'd you get that name? Because you're from Texas?
I was from Texas and I fought a lot. And they knew it.
What's the worst thing you've ever seen in prison when you was in there?
So I seen a couple of bad things. I seen one dude, him and his cellie were arguing one day in Gardner. They came out of the cell one day arguing with each other. And the dude that was arguing was, running his mouth, and the other kid was pouring hot water in a bowl. And he went into his cell and poured oil in the bowl, like scented oil. And it was scalding hot water right fresh out of the hot pot. Dude, and he hit his cellie right in the face with that shit, dude.
Oh.
And I watched it start falling off his face.
Oh,
that was pretty. But that wasn't the worst. These two Muslim dudes were going to a service one day. They went to, I think they were during Ramadan. And they came back from Ramadan. And these two COs were in the bubble. This was also at Gardner. And they were talking shit to the dude. You motherfuckers are going to go in the cell and eat some pepperoni. You guys like pork. They were fucking talking shit to him about their religion. So homeboy comes down and he goes, comes down the stairs, walks up to the bubble and says, "Listen, man, I don't play when it comes to my religion. Watch your mouth when it comes to my religion." CO tells him, "Get your ass, go in there and lock up, whatever." So guy goes in there, bro, him and the guy came right back out and they jumped right over the bubble, snatched these two COs up. And I watched one of them get cut from here to here, dude, right in front of me. Throat got sliced wide open. That was pretty evil. But the sickest shit that I ever saw was in McDougal. And that was when I watched this lady CO kept messing with these two dudes that were doing big bids. I mean, one of them had 80, the other one had, I think, 70 something years in life, and they were brothers. And I think they were half brothers. That's why they were able to be in the same jail together.
Yeah.
You know, the system doesn't know if you're half brothers.
Yeah.
But if they know you're related, they're going to keep you apart. But they were giving each other soups one night, and she kept writing petty ass tickets to these dudes. Dude, these guys are doing life. They don't give a fuck about life right now, especially in there. You know, if you're writing tickets to them for giving a soup to somebody, you're being an asshole cop. And the lady was being an asshole cop to these guys and just kept fucking with them. And they went to the lieutenant and told the lieutenant, look, man, squash his ticket right now because you know it's bullshit. And the lieutenant that night that was on was an asshole lieutenant. It was like, I ain't squashing shit. You don't tell me how to do my job. And he's like, all right, bet, no doubt. He goes back to his cell. We had chow. And then when we came back from chow, they locked us up. And then they let the bottom tier, or no, it was the top tier that was out for rec. They let the top tier out for rec because I was on the bottom tier. And them dudes walked right up to the bubble and they fucked that woman up. They hit the other CO, the male CO that was on with her, knocked him right out immediately. Then they started putting the boots to this chick, dude, knocked her eyeball right out of her fucking head, bro. I'll never forget that shit.
Man.
Yeah.
Sometimes you talk to the wrong people.
Yeah, dude. I mean, being a correctional officer, it can be a cake job and it can be a really good career for some. You know, if you're there to do your job, get the hell out at the end of the night, you want to go home safe to your family, don't go in there fucking with people and stirring up the pot, you know?
Yeah, especially when, you know, you got all these lifers, yo, you know?
Yeah.
Don't give a fuck, bro. You know?
Bro, that was terrible. I mean, what happened to the chick was terrible. But again, like I said, you kind of brought it on yourself when you walked in there and started fucking with these dudes.
Yeah.
Prison will run itself, bro. It really will.
Yeah. Yeah.
All COs have to do is do count and check the cells when everybody's locked up. That's it. And press that button when you need help. But other than that, prison will run itself. The convicts will straighten each other out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you go in there and you start stirring the pot up, I mean, I felt bad for her because she was a female. But again, bro, she was pushing these dudes for a couple of weeks before she finally got it.
Yeah, damn.
But we wound up on lockdown for like 3 weeks for that.
Jeez.
It was terrible, bro.
So your conviction, the appeal went through.
Yes.
What
so
happened?
The appeal went through, and I got the New England's Innocence Project involved. And it was a lady named Sally Johan. And dude, I'll say this right now. She's out of Massachusetts. Those people are the people that saved my life. That lady got in contact with my family, got all the evidence together, brought forth the evidence of my DNA, and the state of Connecticut had no other choice but to let me go. At that point, everything was brought forward to light, and the appeal was granted. The prosecutor did not want to try to retry the case. After that, I wound up getting a full, complete pardon from the state of Connecticut, and I was able to move on with my life. However, it wasn't easy because my past still haunted me.
Yeah, what was your first day like coming home, and who would you go home to?
That's a good question.
That's why
the first day was surreal. I didn't want to believe anything until I stepped out of the gates.
So how long did you do altogether?
I did 8.5
years. 8.5 years.
Well, altogether, I did 8 years and 8 months.
Okay. So almost 9 years.
So almost 9 years.
Damn, bro.
When I went to prison, Jackie was 4 years old. When I got out, she was a fucking teenager. Like, I mean, almost ready to leave home. So Jordan had already been, out on her own and living on her own when I got out. Johnny was still living at home with her mama, but she was working a full-time job, and I think I think Jackie was the only one that was going to school.
So you come home. What was
So
your
when
first
I
meal?
my first uh uh the first thing I wanted to do was get the fuck out of Connecticut.
Yeah.
So I got a bus ticket to go home, and I had 24 hours to get on that bus, and then I had 42 hours from the second I got on the bus to get to Texas to check in, because I started out on parole.
Yeah.
They let me out on parole, and I had to go through parole and all their stipulations and shit. So when I first got out, my aunt met me at the gate with my all my family, like my aunts, some of my cousins. I don't think I was able to see Johnny, Jordan, and Jackie until like later on. I think I did see them before I left, but I wasn't able to like spend time with them until like after I had went to Texas and stuff. Um, it was kind of fucked up, bro. Like Connecticut set me up for failure.
Yeah. Yeah.
The system is set up for you to fail.
Absolutely.
It is. I mean, and you would think that they would give you the opportunity to rehabilitate and break down that recidivism rate, but instead they would rather have you set up for failure so that you can keep being a number and keep being a paycheck for them. And I think that that's where our justice system is fucked up. I think they knew I was innocent from the get-go, bro. They had my DNA. And if my lawyer had it, the prosecutor had it. Both of them refused to put it up in trial, so that they could use somebody's life as a pawn. Um, Good thing for me, dude, that I never gave up fight, because most people that were in a position like that would basically just give up and become a victim of the system, you know.
Yeah.
But my story is a story of triumph, dude. I mean, I went through a lot of shit in my life, and I don't regret any of it, because I am the man that I am today because of it. But I regret a lot of things because I lost out on so much. Like, at what cost did it cost me to prove my innocence? I lost my father, my wife of 13 years, my kids growing up, my freedom, my grandmother, my brother died, or my brother-in-law died 3 months after my father died. And then 3 months after him, and my other brother-in-law died. So through all of that, I'm my father's only son. My job as his only son is to be there for my family, to protect my family when he's dead and gone. And here I am sitting in a prison cell. I can't even hug my mama's neck when my dad's gone. I can't hold my sisters when they lose their husbands.
Yeah.
And, or my nieces and nephews when they lost their father, or their grandfather. Like, my job was to be there to hold my family together. But then again, let me say this. Like, it goes back to what you and I were talking about earlier. He may be late, but he's never, I mean, he's never late. He's always right on time. So although it took me 8.5 years or almost 9 years to get out, he did it right when I was able to get out, because if it had been any sooner, Adam, I'd be a mess today. And that's the truth. I'd be a mess today because I wasn't ready. God brought me out right when I was ready to get out, when I was ready to become somebody different. You know, um, I don't think God was going to give me a son until I was able to raise a man, the right way. I had 6 girls before I finally got a son at 48 years old. And most people don't do that shit. They don't have kids at 48 years old.
Nah.
Here I am, 50 years old, trying to chase this little 3-year-old that looks like a 6-year-old around the park. I
Yeah,
can't even.
it's a big boy.
You know what I mean? He is a big boy,
Look
and I
like
can't
he
even
ain't
catch
Big
his
Mac.
ass.
But then,
Bro, he's fast. He's faster than me. I'm running all over trying to catch his little ass. I can't catch him.
so what was the first meal you had when you
Block
got
for him.
out?
Huh?
What was your first meal you had when you got out?
First meal I had was hometown buffet.
Yeah.
Yeah, up in Connecticut, up in I think we went in Suffield because I got out. I was in Osborne when they released me. I walked out of the gates in Osborne, and my family took me to hometown buffet, and I think it was either in Suffield or Enfield, somewhere around that area.
Yeah. What'd you have?
I had brisket. They had that day. They were cooking brisket. I think I had a little bit of everything, bro. I was piling everything I could find on. And to be honest with you, I ate food that by the time I got to the bus station, I was sick as a dog, dude. Like, I ate jail food for 9 years,
Yeah.
and I started eating all this home cooked meal. And I was, bro, I had no leniency on hometown buffet that day. I had a little bit of everything in that place. I was like, damn, is that cheese? Give me some mac and cheese.
So you
I
go
had,
to Texas.
so I go to Texas. Um, I had planned on being with Mary because Mary and I were writing each other for about 3 years.
Your wife, right?
My ex-wife, we're not married anymore. We just
Yeah.
got a divorce.
All
But
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
we were planning on being together.
All right. So you
When
came in. How'd you meet her?
so her and my sister were best friends and they worked together.
Okay.
And I had heard about her through my mother. My mother was telling me a lot about this girl that was friends with Malia, and she was single and raising her kids by herself, and a full-time mom and full-time worker. So I told her, like, I told my mom, I was like, yeah, ever hit me up. At this point, I'd love to talk to anybody.
Right.
So she wound up writing me a letter, and we started corresponding with each other, and we built a relationship, through that, a relationship of trust. I thought, I trusted everything Mary said to me. And then when I got out, and I went to Texas, that first night I was in Texas, Mary came and she had told me that night that she had slept with somebody while I was incarcerated. To me, it was an act of betrayal to me because the whole time I believed you. I believed you were being loyal to me. And, you know, I just, I felt like I deserved better than that coming fresh out. So I broke up with her, or actually, she broke up with me because I was trying to get her to spend more time with me and she wanted to stay home. I was being selfish back then. I was fresh out of prison. I've been alone for 9 years. I
Yeah.
wanted my woman to be with me every day, but she had kids she had to take care of. She had a job. You know what I mean? So it just wasn't the right time for me and Mary. And we wound up breaking up and moving on. And that's when Beth had hit me up on Facebook, and her and I started talking. And then she flew from Florida down to Texas to meet up with me. And I think she wound up staying for a couple of weeks and then went back, grabbed her
Now
kid.
you got a kid with her too, right?
Yeah.
That's right. When you have Gabby.
So Beth
Yeah,
had
bro.
Logan. Beth had Logan when I met her,
Okay.
and two when she came into my life. So Beth traveled across country, across Florida to Texas to be with me in a U-Haul. And her and I had our own place. We had Logan, and then we left Texas and moved to Florida. She talked me into moving to Florida. we moved to Florida, and right after we moved to Florida, Beth got pregnant for Gabby.
What's good, people? Steve J here, News Life and Beyond. We selling merch, got all kinds of stuff, t-shirts, hoodies, hats, sneakers, tumblers, cups, Funko Pops, you name it, we got it.
What's good, people? This is Adam A, one half of News Life and Beyond. I just wanted you guys to know that you can find us at a lot of places. You can find us on Clapper, Lemonade, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, favorite it, but most of all, YouTube. Go on YouTube, look us up, News Life and Beyond. Push the button, subscribe and like, please, and share it out to the world. You can also call us, 959-951-9117, or you can support us, buy some merch. We got shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, sneakers, hats, keychains, Funko Pops, bracelets, mugs, tumblers. Shit, we can make your grandmother a pair of thongs if you want. But for all the love and all the support from everybody that has, we love you. We love you, we love you, we love you. Adam A, Steve J, Pooh Bear, Pooh Bodio. We out.
You ain't too, you crazy for this one.
News, life, and beyond. Still here, still reppin' it. No politics, but we out to get the presidents. If we talking about it, then you know we speaking relevance. Giving you the facts, that's the only way to represent Connecticut. You just gotta tap in, like, share, and subscribe. CJ and Adam May, official, we going live. Just another episode, a visual for your eyes. News, life, and beyond, officially in its prime. News, life, and beyond. News, life, and beyond. News, life, and beyond. News, life, and beyond. News, life.